Some like it hot. Some like it hot.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the Boxing Hangout with myself, Ingram Jones, and
it's me, Phil Lindsay. How are you doing, Ingram?
excellent. Great, yourself?
I'm great, thanks. Good weekend's boxing to review here.
Absolutely loads of fights to get through from Friday night, right with David Price and Matt Skelton, right through to the other heavyweight, Tyson Fury with Kevin Johnson, and of course the fights in America as well. So we won't waste any time, we'll get straight down to Friday night. So Phil, I believe the first fight was Ronnie Heffron with
Vassell, yes.
Vassell. I think we both agreed that we believed that Ronnie Heffron was going to get beat. But what were your reasons why you believed Ronnie Heffron was going to get beat first?
Levels. Denton Vassell is fought at higher levels, and he's looked more impressive when he's done so as well. He's a stronger puncher, and that's basically how it turned out in the end. I mean, he was a bit rusty first couple of rounds, but once he started getting his rhythm and everything, I thought Heffron was a little bit unfortunate to get stopped when he did, but I can understand why.
Let me tell you something. He would have got more punishment, because if you notice, from after that round, I think it was about round 2 or round 3, Heffron was out of the fight, and Vassell was getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and Heffron was doing less and less and less. And I did state, for a young man, Heffron was taking far too many punches, and his last 2 fights he was having, I mean, he fought, I think it's Peter McDonough, was it? Or Peter McDowell or something like that, wasn't it?
McDonough, I think, yeah.
McDonough, yeah, right? And I mean, almost a life and death struggle with him. I mean, and he's, you know, he's an average fighter, you know, he comes and gives his all, but at the end of the day, he's not the sort of guy that, you know, you need to get past him to be moving on in honours, and he didn't look impressive against him. And then he's going to fight Denton Vassell, who's fought at a higher level, and obviously was physically stronger, and as you saw, a much better fighter. So I wasn't surprised to see Heffron get beat, and I was surprised actually at how strong Denton Vassell was, and how quickly he got rid of Ronnie Heffron. And at no stage when Ronnie, and you could say Ronnie Heffron was pretty live as well. He wasn't a bum. Ronnie Heffron was unbeaten. He was fresh. He was young, and it seemed to me like Box Nation. That was Box Nation's boy. I think they wanted Heffron to win the fight. They expected Heffron to win the fight. You listen to the commentary, it was like, oh, Heffron's doing this, and Heffron's doing this, and Heffron's done that, and oh, Heffron's been caught! Heffron's been caught! You know,
yeah.
I mean,
I don't think the fight was ever in question once the fight had started. It was a little bit like man against boy.
Yeah, but, and also I noticed that Heffron could only fight one way. There was no sort of change of tactics at any time. Same old, go forward, throw as many punches as you can, and take as many punches as you can. You know, sort of like different style, different tactics. But get off the back foot and jab and counter punch. You know, a draw, sell in. None of that. It was just come forward and try and knock the guy over. And I'm sure within the first 2 rounds he must have thought, you know what, this guy's much stronger than me. Let me see if I can, you know, throw body shots, slow this guy down. Didn't see any of that. Same old stuff. So of course, and the uppercut was a beautiful peach of an uppercut he got caught with.
Oh God, yes.
What an uppercut.
The main thing I would give Heffron credit for is stepping up to the plate. It was good to see. Was Vassell unbeaten beforehand? Is he still unbeaten, Vassell?
Still unbeaten. Still unbeaten.
Yeah. So it was a matter of somebody's always gotta go.
Yes.
And but it's good to see both fighters coming together, because you don't see that much, that often now, unbeaten fighters fighting each other.
That was a real chance fight, though, wasn't it? I mean, Heffron could have been managed a bit better. And for me, as I said to you, as I alluded to in the pre-fight prediction for this fight, I said that a lot of these young fighters, they seem to do the same things over and over again. Even if they get caught with a whole heap of punches, and you know they look poor in a fight, they think, oh, well, forget about it, I'll train the same way again. Well, Heffron could have gone back to the gym and thought, you know what, I'm getting caught with too many punches here, I need to tighten up on my defence, and let me have a couple of fights where I can work on my defence more. no, obviously his management thought it was time to push him forward, and it was like a lamb to slaughter, to be honest. So the fight I would like to see actually is Frankie Gavin versus Denton Vassell. That would be a cracker.
Yeah, I think Frankie Gavin at the moment he's certainly not realising the potential that everybody has been championing the cause about. So
I would love if I were Denton Vassell, I'd vie for that fight next. He did look impressive against Junior Witter, and I think that Vassell would be too strong on the inside for him. I think Gavin's a better boxer, but I don't think he punches as hard. I don't think he punches as hard as Heffron as a one-punch knockout artist, and I think that Vassell would do a number on Gavin. Actually, I really do. From what I saw, he looks like, and he was rusty then. I think it would be a very good fight, and I would take that fight on, definitely. Wouldn't think twice about it. What do you think?
No, it's we mentioned it again yesterday, the old cliche of styles make fights and things like that. I think Vassell has always looked like he's had potential. He's very, he used to be a bodybuilder before he came to the boxing, didn't he?
Yes.
So he just has that natural extra bit of strength and power.
Yeah.
And I still think he's got some improvement as a boxer as well. I think he's traded on his strength largely early in his career.
Yes.
Whereas as he's been getting further down the line, his technique is going to have to continue to improve. But I think he is improving. So. But like I say, with Frankie, it's a matter of he did struggle against Witter. I know Witter's experienced and it was over the longer distance, but first 2 or 3 rounds, I know we're not covering his fight tonight, but the first 2 or 3 rounds it was looking like Witter had a chance. Whereas before the fight it was always the mismatch before the fight, you know. So
so I don't talk about Frankie Gavin with any sort of excitement anymore, because when he first came out I was excited about him. Now I'm like, this guy's going the wrong way for me. I don't know what's happened. I don't know if it's his training methods. I don't know. The spark is missing.
Well, I think his confidence has taken a knock. I mean, he won't come out and say that he's not as confident as he used to be. But after the fight with Curtis Woodhouse, which he was very lucky to get the result. Was that a draw? Or was it a close points win with Woodhouse?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but I think since then he's lost that sort of that air of confidence, air of indestructibility that he had, and with a boxer of his style in terms of the fluidity, the natural flow and the movement.
Yeah.
If you are starting to hesitate with your thoughts and you don't have the same sort of confidence, then it is going to show these performances.
If you look at the 3 Olympians, out of the 3 Olympians, I still think Saunders,
Billy Joe Saunders, yeah,
that's the guy you got to watch out for.
Okay, so we're going to go on to the Friday's big heavyweight, if you want to call it a big heavyweight fight. There's certainly one big heavyweight in there. David Price against Matt Skelton.
And I was thinking actually about Andrew Flintoff, actually.
I was just going to keep him till the end, and it's more of a little. It's not even a question about boxing with the Flintoff thing. It's more of the media attention and the implications and.
Yeah. Okay. Well. I was gonna. Okay. Well. We'll do that then. We'll leave the best till last.
Yeah, the best trick that'll last. But So yeah, in terms of Price v Skelton, in terms of the predictions, I believe I had him in round 3. You had him in round 4.
Yep. The only thing about this fight I was wanted to know was, could Skelton get inside of Price and land some punches? And we got that answer within the first 10 seconds of the fight. This is a 45-year-old man who's got slow feet and slower hands and is nothing more than a brawler, which he is. That's what Matt Skelton is. He's 45 years old He's get inside of you and land punches. What does David Price tell us afterwards? Oh, surprised he came at me. Well, what did you expect him to do, David? Stand in front of you, put his hands up, and let you throw 2 punches at you? I mean, that's what Matt Skelton does. I mean, if Matt Skelton was if I was a heavyweight and I was gonna fight Matt Skelton, I knew exactly what the fight's about. Matt Skelton's coming to fight. He's coming to chuck punches left, right, and centre and get his head in. You threw a good combination if it was a left, right, and a headbutt.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Price was surprised. The finish, I wasn't surprised by the body shot because he got stopped by Pulev by a body shot, and I think again he got stopped by a body shot by Price as well. So I think as Price saw the fight with Pulev and thought, right, I'll go to the body because the headshots weren't having as much effect as the body shots because he got caught with some good shots, Skelton. To be fair,
but he's that's what was said before the fight. He's just a really, really hard man. And
I'd like to see that fight a few years ago, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's one of those timing things because obviously a few years ago Price wouldn't have been anywhere near it, but it's like you say. I think it's
you sort of
Price,
wonder when you go on.
with Price. It's exactly what was said beforehand. He had absolutely nothing to gain. So even though he's finished Skelton off quickly, Skelton's a 45-year-old man. You can't compare finishing him off quicker than other people because Skelton's older than he's been against any of his other opponents.
That's true.
And he's not really fought anybody. He's won his last 5 fights, last 3 by stoppage before Friday night. But at the same point, he's not really fought anybody of note. And it's like, if he's going for the Lonsdale belt and he's going to fight Chisora next, if he is going to fight Chisora next, then we're going to have a look at that. But all the talk about Price v Fury and who's rating who above whom and things like that, I don't think the two fighters can be compared because they're fighting completely different levels of opposition.
Yep. He's on the old boys tour. He's on an old boys tour. He's fought one old boy in Harrison, right? And he's gonna fight Skelton. Now he's gonna go and fight Tony Thompson next in February. So I hear. So that's 3 old boys he's fought. I just hope that by the time he fights Chisora's had at least a warm-up fight or a couple of warm-up fights before he fights him.
Yeah. No, it's with the Price thing, you see, I don't criticise Price because all the way along he's been talking about he's not ready now and that he's talking about 18 months time, even though he was talking about 18 months time 18 months ago. But at the same point, David Price hasn't been saying I'm ready to fight for the title now, generally, so...
No, but his development is the question. Development. Maloney shouldn't be mentioning Price in the same breath as Fury. The conversation shouldn't be had because look at what he's fighting. Why does Fury have to fight Price? You look at Price and you look at his record. Okay, who's he fought? A shot Aldi Harrison, an old Matt Skelton. Okay, I mean, so then you look at what Fury's fought.
Tom Dallas.
And yeah, exactly. And then look who Fury's fought. A Canadian champion, unbeaten.
He's had at least 4 unbeaten fighters. He's taken Fury and another fighter with winning records.
Derek Chisora.
Yeah.
Who else he fought?
Rich Power.
Yes.
Was it Pacek or something like that?
Yeah, Pacek. Yes.
Sounds like a mathematical equation.
Yes.
But not even that. It's just the levels of fighters. I mean, is Price going to take on Martin Rogan next? Is Martin Rogan going to fight again?
Well, if he is, Price will fight him.
I don't know. Like I say, I think the big boys are trading off each other in terms of publicity. I think at this stage, David Price has been doing everything right in terms of beating who he's got being put in front of him, and I think he talks a decent game. He's generally respectful. He comes across as reasonably intelligent in terms of the way that he answers questions.
Yeah, but you know, we want to see him with somebody decent. It's as simple as that. That's what it's at now. At least somebody half decent.
Oh, if he's going to fight somebody again of a similar sort of level next time out, I think serious questions need to be asked.
Well, the thing is,
I know he's only had 15 fights, but
yeah, but it doesn't help when Maloney's saying we'll fight you now when he's done nothing. Maloney needs to keep his mouth shut. If you're going to fight this sort of opponents, Maloney needs to keep his mouth shut and let Price do what he's doing and let him learn. Don't put attention on Price like that, because the poor guy is fighting his opponents to develop his career, and you always say, oh, well, we've got 650,000. What's 650,000? Once he has to pay his
escrow.
What's that?
In escrow.
That money is pay petrol money to get to and from the arena, and pay for a hotel room. That's about it. What is he going to do with that money?
It's like I say, I think it's the conversations about the pair of them and matching them up at this stage.
It's ridiculous.
Flogged. It's been flogged. Yeah. The dead horse is being flogged, and it's a fight I'd like to see. I would like to see it when there's a title on the line.
I personally, I've said it already, and I've put it out there. I think it's a mismatch. I think Fury blows him away within 5 rounds. I think the first time Fury gets across the ring to him, he'll go right across the ring to him and hit him on the chin. And I don't think Price will be able to handle the pressure. Fury's faster. He's not stronger. I think he's faster. I think he's got better movement. He's got a better jab.
Better footwork.
Better footwork. He's a better all-round fighter for me. And he's proven it. Whereas this guy, we don't know yet.
Well, plus Fury's actually answered questions in terms of when he gets tagged, if he gets hurt and things like that. Yep. He's responded very well in those situations. But I think in terms of comparing the two fighters against each other, it can't be done at the moment, not realistically. And I think it's a matter of, if at some point there's genuine talk about them fighting, that's when we'll maybe make some comparisons then.
Yeah. So we'll leave them for now.
Well, we can actually we can still stay on Fury, because we can maybe build onto his fight against Johnson now.
Well, the Johnson fight was a no-brainer what was going to happen. Johnson would give a lot of big talk before the fight, but Johnson hasn't got an aggressive bone in his body, right? And he was just going to defend all night long. And it was up to, unless Tyson Fury stuck his chin out, and even then, I don't think Johnson would hit him on the chin. You know,
there was two shots early that Johnson missed, both right hands, where Fury was. It wasn't a matter of getting caught on the chin; it was sideways on chin shots that missed the whisker.
Yeah.
Whereas it's the old slow motion fight night on Knockout Kings where you get the. And there was a couple of just missed past the whisker shots there that might have actually shook him. I said it from the prediction the minute the fight was announced, and I said to Peter Fury, and if Peter Fury is watching, shout out to Peter Fury, doing a great job, keep it up. I said the minute the fight was announced, Tyson was jab his head off all night long, and Kevin Johnson was stink at the joint. But he's done what he's needed to do to get to the next level. Yeah. He's now in contention to fight for a world title, to be honest. Ranked number 3 now. Yeah. Well, it varies on different ones, but it's...
for the WBC, okay? Yeah. And then you've got Areola and the other guy. Whoever wins that will be probably between Areola and Fury. Fury stands a good chance against Areola.
Oh, definitely.
To be fair, I mean, he's got good hand speed, good footwork, and after what Vitali did to Areola,
yeah,
you know what I mean? I think it'd be a good fight.
Well, I think in terms of one of the questions the main questions that Fury's had to answer is his discipline, both in and out the ring.
But he's been in great shape, to be fair.
Exactly. Last few fights, his condition's been great. in terms of his conditioning, a lot of the time apparently he doesn't take the rest. He trains too hard sometimes.
Okay.
But in terms of his discipline in the ring, I mean, there were certain sections of the crowd were booing last night, and you can understand why, because of the expectations that he set because of his previous fights.
But it was Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson, as I said before, he had sort of like a Floyd Mayweather stroke, Broner sort of style.
High shoulder
and the shoulder. So, you know, to knock him out, you'd have to move the shoulder, break the shoulder, and then punch him on the chin. So,
no,
yeah.
I wouldn't criticise Fury. I was listening to Richie Woodall being quite critical and asking for a lot more, and it's like
Richie Woodall's full of it. He's full of it. You know, he
was hardly an aggressive fighter himself, was he? But at the same point, it was a matter of he was still giving Fury credit. But
yes.
he was asking for more. I think he was a little bit swayed by the crowd. And he also acknowledged that it's a bit like Nazim Hamed. Nazim Hamed was criticised for being far too open, and then when he fought that Spanish fella, was it Calvo?
Yes.
When he fought him in his one fight after his defeat,
yes.
He boxed him. He did it well. He recognised within 2 rounds he wasn't going to stop the guy, and he boxed him. He just seen it was going to be a point. He did everything right, and he got slated for it. And it's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But in terms of Fury's performance, I was watching with my pal Ian here, and I was just saying all the way through, he's doing everything absolutely right. He's doing what he has to do, and I think...
And it's a credit to his trainer as well, right?
Yeah.
His trainer could have said something stupid like, "Go out there and knock him out. Just chin him." Well, he was talking sense. You know, you say, use your jab, give him angles.
But he's got Fury listening. That's one of the keys. Fury was a bit of a lawn to himself, and I think you'll be the first to admit that.
Yeah.
But in terms of, you know what happened with Tyson in his early days, he listened, and after Custabado died, there was all sorts of different people in Tyson's corner, but none of them got through to him.
No.
Whereas with Fury at the moment, he's in the corner, he's listening, he's doing what he's told, he's doing what he needs to do, he's speaking well after the fight. It was interesting to see what the interview was cut short a little bit, but I was waiting to see if there's going to be any responses to what he might have been saying about David Price or anything, but they cut the thing short, so...
Oh, well, I like I said, I've got a lot of faith in Tyson Fury. I like him. I do like him. I think
he's a character as well.
He is, and he's all right. He's got fast hands. He's a big man. He has got some power there. He's got good footwork.
He's a boxer as well. He's a lot more relaxed and fluent than Price. Price is technically very good structure, very good shape, but
when you call him a big stiff idiot, I mean, Price is stiff. He is. I'm not calling him an idiot, but he's stiff. He is stiff.
But so is Klitschko. Well, so is Vitali in particular.
Yeah.
But they're effective with it. They use their size. But if you get somebody similar size against you, then you can't use that size alone.
Do you know who Price slightly reminds me of? He hasn't been tagged yet.
Is he a
Michael Grant. No, Michael Grant was a big puncher. But yeah, we're yet to see Price get it on the chin. We'll see what happens when he gets it on the chin by somebody who can punch. Then we'll see how close that comparison I am. Because Grant could punch, and he was a big giant. Remember when Lewis fought Grant?
Yeah, I was worried.
Right, and Grant was this real, robot type fighter. And Lewis was the guy who had very loose.
Yeah.
And you see what happened when those two collided?
Yeah. Well, a loose fighter generally will get their shots off quicker than a stiff fighter.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point.
Yeah, when it's more effortless, they'll waste less energy as well.
When Lewis fought Bruno was very slow and quite stiff. He obviously, I don't know how Frank got that speed that night, but Bruno was always stiff and Lewis was very be able to use the jab very nicely and move, and whereas Frank was very stiff all the time. So the point is, I just think if those two meet, it's going to be a case of I'm going to go with the guy who's much more fluid and able to get out the way shots quicker. So yeah, so credit to Tyson Fury. Kevin Johnson shouldn't ever be in the top 10 again. That's the first thing, and I'd have half his wages deducted for him. He's a disgrace. He's a disgrace. You can't have one of the greatest fights in heavyweight history, and he goes and does that. Not good. Not good.
Yeah, it doesn't help when you oversell things beforehand. I mean, you may have had a broken toe, you never know. But yeah, also obviously Tyson Fury, Eubank Jr.
Right, Chris Eubank Jr. I remember Chris. I remember Chris personally when I was in Brighton, and I used to go into the boxing gym, and I met him personally. Chris was well, he was a very good super middleweight champion. 14, 15 defenses of the WBO championship. Unheard of today, really, to be honest with you. A character.
He actually helped to establish the WBO, really, because he was one of the higher profile names that actually had the WBO title.
Rock solid chin, fantastic heart, great counter puncher, a showman, a man who could talk and articulate his views, hated by some, loved by other people, but Eubank was his own man. Mm-hmm. Now he has his son, Eubank Jr., who is trying to replicate what his father did. Well, you can't, because he's Eubank Jr. And first thing which is apparent is Eubank Jr. cannot punch. He fought Bradley Price. Shout out to Bradley Price, who put up a fantastic effort. But Bradley Price's best days, light middleweight, welterweight and light middleweight. He was never a middleweight, right? And at the tail end of his career, he's fighting Eubank Jr. Eubank Jr. caught him with some absolute cracking shots, and Price just walked straight, just kept walking forward. And Eubank was getting caught with shots as well. I mean, this was Eubank's 7 for 8 fight. So credit him for, 8 fight. So credit him for taking the fight. But he's going to have problems when he fights a guy he can't stop in his tracks and can punch him back. What's he going to do then?
I think he punches solid enough without punching concussively. But again, it's only his 8th fight.
Okay.
And in terms of refinements and things like that.
But I wouldn't have had such a problem if the James DeGale debate wasn't around. If it wasn't talking about how he beat James DeGale up and he's outmatched James DeGale in sparring, all this sort of stuff.
I don't listen to that though. I take a lot of the hype with a pinch of salt, because the more and more you hear about it these days, the more it's proven to be wrong. So if Bradley Price, is giving you problems, and he was giving him problems and giving a fair argument there, what's a big, strong super middleweight going to do? I'll tell you my main concern about Eubank, and it's not his lack of power, because I think when he lets his shots go in combinations, he's not one of these that's powder puff. They're generally stiff enough to stop somebody coming on. But his problem is he doesn't throw enough punches, very much like his dad. He'll do just enough to stay ahead in the round, and then if somebody tags him, then he'll punch back just to make sure he's just ahead in the round. But he doesn't do enough. And it's a matter of, I don't know if it's a matter of the way that he throws very few light shots. It's always reasonably well constructed, not full blown, full power, but he puts something into every shot. And I think that's one of the reasons why he doesn't throw as many as he should do.
Even Bradley Price was able to tag him and at times stun him, and that's Bradley Price, who's not a middleweight.
I didn't see him stunned. I didn't see Eubanks stunned at any point.
I saw him go back a couple of times in the fight. Go back and watch the fight. He hit him with a couple of right hands over the top, and he hit him, and Eubank went back 2 or 3 times in the fight. And remember, when I got back, he was able to back Eubank up, who is naturally, supposedly, the bigger, stronger man. Ooh, he's the natural middleweight. Bradley Price was just a blown up like middleweight or a welterweight. Sorry. So
well, the thing with Eubank is it's like the reason we're talking about him is because of his dad.
That's it.
But the reason I'm happy to talk about him is not in terms of is he going to be a world champion, because I think it's ridiculous to talk about people in after 7, 8 fights and talk world title credentials. It's I'm happy to talk about him because he's generally in decent fights to watch.
Yes,
fights
I like
are engaging. There's action. I quite enjoy watching him fight.
I was happy to see him fight Bradley Price because it's a name we recognise, we know.
Yeah.
So I was very happy to see that. It was pleasing to see that. But in terms of his development, I'm sure that he'll. I hope he tightens things up because he's going to need to. I mean, you think about down the line in the future, he's got the likes of Darren Barker if he gets that far, or Matthew Macklin.
Yeah.
I mean,
Murray.
Yeah. Murray.
No, but again, like I say, I think it's a matter of it's all about timing and things like that. At this stage, I think he's getting some decent exposure on Channel 5. I think he's providing some decent entertainment on Channel 5.
Yeah, but he's talking about I'll take anybody anytime and that sort of stuff.
Well, great. If he's prepared to take them on, win or lose, at least he's prepared to take them on. I don't, like I say, I'm not rating him as a potential champion at this stage.
Yeah.
I like to see fighters who are willing to take on other fighters, and I think he's been matched quite hard for his early fights. And he's come through, but he's been willing to take those challenges, and I give him credit for that.
He's fighting next Saturday as well, so that should be interesting.
Sorry?
He's fighting again next Saturday.
Yeah, on the Gale undercard. That should be decent, and we'll get a preview done on that early in the week as well this time.
Yep.
So one other fight on terms of the
Freddie.
No, Saturday night.
Oh, that was Friday.
We'll savour him to last. I was looking at Bradley Saunders, the job he did against Peter McDonough.
I was impressed with Bradley Saunders. He did a better job on him than Ronnie Heffron did.
I think he did a better job on McDonough than most people have done. You can look back on McDonough's career, and he's fought. He's been the gatekeeper for, in terms of someone you got to get through for quite a few different fighters.
I like Bradley, but I always got the feeling when he was fighting, he seemed not. He seems to have a lot of boxing skill, but he just seems to be the kind of guy that he seems. The word it's not fragile. He just seemed fragile though. Look at him. He seemed fragile. He just seemed that if a guy with heavy hands was in there, he'd fall apart. I kept getting that feeling every so often watching him. I don't know why I felt that way, but maybe just his style. But he did a really good number on Peter McDonough. But at the end of the day, I still felt, even though he fought at that level, I still feel he didn't catch with someone who was physically very strong.
Well, McDonough's not a concussive puncher. He's a tough man that'll stay in there.
Yeah, but he did come across.
But he'll put you under pressure, but he doesn't put you under pressure with quality shots. He puts you under pressure with volume and his ability to withstand basically anything.
So Bradley did well considering the opponent. I think he put some nice combination together, some good moves, good jab, nice hurtful punches that comes together. But
and he's staying quite busy as well. He's fighting quite regularly.
Yeah, so he did quite well, but I just felt that in terms of the future, I'd like to know what he does against somebody who physically can punch. Somebody who's got a bit of diet, a guy who can punch. That for me, I need to get that answer from him because he's got all the skill in the world.
Well, let's see how he gets matched. Let's see how he gets matched. If he's matched against powder puff punchers for the next 3-4 fights, then there might be something in terms of something to watch out for with that. But I just thought it was worth a mention because I think he performed really well against a decent opponent for his fifth fight or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we've got one more British fight which we will cover, but I think we'll maybe we'll touch upon the American side of things. There's a couple of fights on there that I thought stood out.
Stood out? But the first one, that guy, what was his name again?
No doubt.
Yeah.
Austin Trout.
No doubt, Trout. Well, he was the main event, but there was a fight before that which was just hilarious.
Which one?
That was that. Was it Velez?
Yeah, Jason Velez against Salvador Sanchez.
That Salvador Sanchez was a disgrace. Salvador Sanchez must have been rolling in his grave when he saw that fight. Wherever he was, he must have been rolling in his grave. That guy was a disgrace. I didn't know he was a professional boxer. He looked like a clown. I mean, I'm not being funny here.
You look at Marwan Fellini.
Pardon?
Marwan Fellini.
He looked like it. Not being funny. The guy he didn't look like he knew how to box. From the first time Velez went out there, he hit with the first right hand, bang on the chin. I'm like, oh, there we go. And he looked like a. The levels looked like it was like a club fighter versus a world champion. That's how bad they and whoever matched that match, I don't know if they made the match because they were trying to get rid of Salvador Sanchez quickly, because obviously somebody doesn't like Salvador Sanchez. Somebody obviously didn't like him because to have matched him with Velez was just cruel. That was cruel. What do you think?
Well, when I was watching them, it was a matter of I hadn't seen Velez before, and at the time I hadn't looked at this fight beforehand. I've looked at Trout v Cotto, and I've looked at other things on the bill, and there was none really jumped out. I thought Danny Jacobs looked decent.
Yeah, glad to see him back after the whole cancer scare thing. It was great to see him back.
But I thought he looked quite good. But Velez, he was just hitting Sanchez with almost every single shot that he threw.
Yes.
I tell you, I'll give Sanchez his credit for a blow that was getting hit almost every time, and Velez looked like he was hitting hard.
Yeah, it took some good shots.
His legs are gone, Jim.
Bang on the chin. Yeah, it was like that. It almost was every punch that guy threw, he was taking it.
Yeah.
His hands up like this, but he getting caught with punch after punch after punch. That fight, I don't know who sanctioned the fight. I don't know who was the matchmaker behind that fight. But it was awful. Wasn't Salvador Sanchez unbeaten?
No, Sanchez had lost 3 or 4 before that.
Oh, well, that explains it then.
But he had 30 or 31 wins.
Who? Sanchez. Against who?
Oh, against nobody. Against his mum, his auntie, his sister, his gran, and a family of chinchillas. But
yeah, probably. Yeah, his first defeat came against his own shadow. I think it hit back.
Yeah, quite possibly. No, but let's say I thought that Velez. He did what he had to do in front of. He's doing it on a big show, Madison Square Garden. I don't think he answered any questions, but he's managed to look good. Worldwide TV.
Well, I think he did answer some questions. Can he get a guy out there? He can.
Oh yeah.
So in terms of that, he's got enough of an instinct to get a guy out of there. Good finisher, accurate puncher. Good combination puncher.
And he didn't let his man off the hook either.
That's it. So I think in that sense, going forward, interesting. In terms of him going back, and somebody hitting back, well, that's another day.
Yeah, we'll find out. But just in terms of a name that I've not really, I've heard of the name before, mainly because of how you spell Jason. It's a different way of spelling Jason. That's what stood out in terms of Jason Velez. But I'll certainly watch out for when he's fighting next. He's another one added to the shortlist. So because he looks good, he looks good punching. But the main fight, Cotto.
No doubt. Trout.
Yeah.
For me,
What were your thoughts before the fight?
well, both. I watched the Showtime picture, and the first thing within the first minute of the show, the answer to who was going to win the fight was right there. When they were talking about Cotto and the Mayweather fight, and they interviewed Cotto after he got banged up by Mayweather. His face got pretty banged up, and he said he couldn't bring himself to say the words retire. But what he was saying was, he was talking about his family life and how he wanted to settle with his family and, you know, this and that, about how he wants to be with his kids, and Miguel Cotto's got more life outside of, more to life than just boxing.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he talked about his beautiful wife and his kids, and shout out to T Street Controversy, by the way, if he's watching this. He fascinates over Cotto's wife. Cotto's wife is beautiful. But anyway, that was just a side thing. But back to the point. But for me, I just thought the fight's going to be down to how much Cotto wants it anymore. And I just felt that, for me, Cotto had one eye outside the ring, and when you got one foot outside the ring, to me, that's you retired. And when he got in the trenches, when he had to fight Trout, he went to the well, it just wasn't there anymore. And Trout was able to, as I thought, would be able to take the fight later on in the later stages and win the fight in points. And I said it would be the unanimous points decision. Bigger, stronger, faster, fresher. And it was just coming out party. And Southpaw. And Southpaw. I just didn't see how Cotto was going to win the fight. I just didn't. I really didn't see how was Cotto going to win the fight. I mean, everyone say, oh yeah, Cotto's a murderous puncher. Well, he's not a murderous puncher at light middleweight. No. I'm sorry, he isn't. Trout is a student of the game, and as I did in my post-fight review of the fight, post-fight analysis, I said that Trout is such a good student of the game. He was able to see how Mayweather fought Cotto, and he was throwing punches round the side of his guard and throwing uppercuts through the middle. And when that was happening, there was a couple of times around about rounds 8 and 9, Cotto's all of a sudden started going on to the back foot. I thought, right, Trout's got this fight under control. Because when Cotto starts going into the back foot, it reminded me of the Margarito fight. Do you remember the Margarito fight where Margarito started backing him up in the first fight? Yeah, yeah. Started voluntarily going towards the ropes.
Cotto had thrown a lot of punches early on with Margarito. He gambled.
Yes.
And once he started slowing down and Margarito started backing him up, he wasn't as effective. In terms of Cotto last night, I absolutely agree with everything you've said there in terms of...
And if you notice something else as well, he turned away from a body shot that was just on the border, and Cotto turned around. That's another side. He didn't want it. He didn't want it. Yeah. So for the last couple of rounds, for me, it seemed to me that Cotto went, you know what? I can't knock this guy out. This guy started attacking me with more punches, more and more often. I need to get out of here. So let me get on the back foot and start counter punching and not engage with this guy as much. And then they have the commentary team going, oh, well, you know, Miguel Cotto, he's trying to counter punch. No, Miguel Cotto is trying to get himself out of getting knocked out.
Yeah.
That's what was going on. And he was getting hurt. He started to feel the power, because, you know, later on in the fight, and of course, Trout was working the body as well. Then body shots started slowing, and wrestling inside as well. When you're wrestling around with a guy who's naturally bigger and heavier than you, and leaning on you and wrestling with you, that tires you out quickly, you know. And I felt that Cotto was actually tiring down the stretch. There were moments in the fight.
Question.
There were moments in the fight later on where Cotto just had his hands and just taking punches on the ropes, which was, to me, I thought, you know what, it's time you retire. And you know what, the other thing is, I hope he does not fight Canelo. He will get hurt against Canelo. Right? I'm not a big Canelo fan. I think he's a bit of a bully. That's why he won't fight Trout, because I think Trout will beat him. I really do think Trout will beat Canelo. I think he'd have a bit too much Canelo. And Canelo, to me, is... Remember I told you about that thing about fighters that kept in the gym and kept big fights? That's the same thing with Canelo. I heard whispers in America that Canelo got found out in a sparring session. He was getting the life beaten out of him because he was defensively inept. He's alright at giving punches against guys smaller than him, but when it's against a guy who could punch him back and could hurt him, Canelo didn't quite know what to do. So I believe this is the reason why they're not putting Canelo with guys that potentially are movers and can hit and can hurt him. And after the fight, what Trout did against Cotto, and he was able to hurt Cotto, Canelo wants no part of that as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the question I would put in terms of Trout and Cotto, obviously there's a number of factors to take into account with this, but do you think Trout did a better job on Cotto than what Mayweather did?
I think there's a few things we need to take into consideration. You've got Mayweather, who started his career at what? Super featherweight?
Yeah.
Right? Super featherweight. Trout's a light middleweight. Well, there you go, or super lightweight. So you look at Trout, who is a natural light middle. Okay, that's his light middleweight. So yeah, he's got body frame, physical strength, boxing style. As Mayweather's gone through the years, he's changed from being a mover, boxer, mover, puncher, to now a stand right in front of you, sort of combination puncher, sort of not as much footwork and a lot of countering. Whereas Trout moves his feet a lot more. He's a mover. He'll fight a bit with you. He'll brawl a bit with you. He'll box. He's a boxer, brawler, dancer. You know, defensive fighter. He's a mixture of things. So I think in terms of style, I think he brought more to the table for Trout, for Cotto to have to work out. Because he wasn't always there. He wasn't right in the pocket all the time. Sometimes he was in the pocket. Sometimes he was out of the pocket. Sometimes he was boxing, you know, giving different angles, shooting punches up the middle, around the sides. You know, so he was doing different things, whereas Mayweather was standing in the pocket all the time. So I think that in some ways Trout brought more variety than what Mayweather did.
More power.
However, I think Mayweather hurt Cotto more. If you notice, I think he hurt. I think he hurt him, rocked him quite a few times, more visibly more. Whereas I think that against Trout, well, Trout was on the move a lot of the time. Trout physically was stronger, so there was much more wrestling in that fight.
Yeah.
If you notice, so I think Cotto tired in that fight.
I think the Trout from early on,
yes,
he was catching Cotto coming in.
Yes.
Particularly with big shots to the body.
Yes.
And that is what I feel was the most important factor in the fight. Because
but remember,
after 6 rounds, Cotto stopped coming forward because of that.
But remember, Mayweather had beaten Cotto first at light middleweight, like that.
Yeah.
Okay, with a certain style. So Trout was able to watch that fight.
Oh yes.
See how he could break down how to fight Cotto.
Yeah.
Right? So I think he had hindsight on how to deal with him, how to fight him.
Well, I think he needs that at the stage of the career that he's at, because he's still going through the learning curve.
Yes.
But it's one thing watching somebody else do that against Cotto. It's another thing exacting that yourself when you know, he's fought some good people, and he's defended the title a couple of times, but he's never fought anybody like Cotto yet.
And the other thing we need to take into consideration, and it's a key element, Trout, a title holder. Mayweather, pound for pound, #1 in the world, unbeaten.
Mm-hmm.
If Cotto had beaten Mayweather and caused a sensation, there was more at the end of the tunnel than if he'd beaten Trout. He'd just been a champion again.
Yeah.
So beating Mayweather would have been a crowning point in his career.
Yeah.
And there's a massive difference.
No, but I'm not at this stage. I'm not comparing Trout to Mayweather because I don't think that would be fair. The two different fighters.
No. In terms of performances, and of course the Cotto they had to face. You know, the Cotto that faced Mayweather was very fired up, even more fired up, and more motivated because there was more on the tables. This Cotto that had got beaten by Mayweather, we could say he didn't have as much motivation because he'd already done all he could do against Mayweather. So motivations are different.
No, I'd certainly give you that as well. I think in terms of Trout, it's going to be interesting to see who he fights next, or not just the next opponent, or the next few.
Yes.
Because it's at light middle. Who else? Who's the main fighters out there at the moment in terms of light middleweight? I'll have a quick look.
Let me know.
The one time I get a slow connection on my other machine, that's just typical. Never mind. No, but we'll be able to do reviews of that further down the line. But I was impressed with him. I was impressed with the way that he beat Cotto on the outside and the inside.
Yep.
Which shows that he has the variety for fighting different fighters.
Yes.
Rather than being a one-trick pony.
Yes.
And like you say, in terms of Cotto, I don't think he should definitely not fight at light middleweight again. I think he tried to pressurise Trout, and he just didn't. He wasn't strong enough. He never looked like he had Trout in any trouble or danger at any point. Even when he was throwing flurries, Trout didn't look concerned. I know they've got the poker face when they fight and they don't show, or try not to show even when they're being hurt at all. But Trout just didn't look in any danger at any point. But no, like I said, I think if Cotto is going to continue, he's got to go no more than welterweight, really.
Yeah, I think it's time for Cotto to retire. I did allude to it before in the pre-fight prediction. I think Cotto should retire now. He's done everything he needs to do.
Yeah, well, quite possibly. I mean, he's fought the two main guys. He's lost to them both.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, if I was Cotto, I'd take a rematch with Pacquiao, because Pacquiao's looking a lot more beatable these days.
Well, that depends what he does against Marquez.
Oh, exactly, but it's
yeah, I'd only take that fight at light middleweight.
I think he'd do okay welterweight against Pacquiao at the moment. I mean, I've been a big fan of Pacquiao for a long time, and I don't know if Pacquiao's downturn, Amir Khan's loss in form, has got anything to do with Freddie Roach's deterioration in terms of his health.
Yeah.
Or if it's a matter of if Pacquiao is just naturally on the slide. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out if he turns in a performance against Marquez.
Some people will suggest he's off the juices, but I'm not going there.
Some people what?
Some people will suggest he's off the juices now. Let's not go there.
Alleged juices. Alleged juices, yes. Yes. No, but like I say, that I think we've covered just about most things now. I think now is the time. Now is your chance, Mr. Jones, to discuss. You've been a man of cricket and boxing. Let's discuss another man who's been involved with cricket and boxing. I think his name is Andrew Flintoff, that's it.
Flintoff! Well, there will be boxing fans that will change that last name from Flintoff to Freddie please F off. Because what they had to see as a main event fight on Box Nation, paid subscription to watch that would have a lot of boxing purists. Those guys want to see proper boxing skill. A guy throwing a jab properly, a guy throwing a right hand, a left hook. That's what people want to see, and that was an exhibition bout. That's what it was. Full credit for Freddie Flintoff for getting himself into shape, for doing all the hard training he needs to do, but this is boxing. And we saw in the second round what happened when you got hit in the chin.
With a jab.
Went down. No, it was a left hook.
It was very, very close in. It wasn't a full-blown left hook. It was from here to here. It wasn't a full-blown punch.
Yeah.
But also Flintoff was a bit off balance as well. So I don't want to be too critical of that because he wasn't dazed or stunned or anything like that.
Oh, I guess so. It was a flash knockdown, as you want to call it. But you know what? Freddie's been a fantastic ambassador to cricket. Really has, and he's done absolutely amazing to have come and got himself in shape and got himself fit and got himself into tremendous condition and showed lots of courage and all the rest of it, to have been focused with so many people cheering for him. He could have really done one in his pants, but he really held it together and was focused. Now, this is where I have a problem. When you have fans in cricket coming into boxing and they want to get on Twitter and start telling me about, yeah, he's trained well, he's fought well, what about him becoming British champion? That's where I draw a line.
Who's been saying this?
Well, there's guys on Twitter that believe that Freddie Flintoff could be the next British champion.
Seriously?
But yeah, I mean, these are guys who are fans of Freddie Flintoff from his cricket career, and think, well, you know, and if you saw what David Price did to Matt Skelton, and bear in mind, I don't think Freddie Flintoff could do that to Matt Skelton.
I think anybody that's talking about Freddie Flintoff being British champion, Freddie Flintoff certainly isn't doing that. He's not getting ahead of himself. He's not talking about. He's actually come out and said he's not talking about titles.
Or David Price.
Well, people talk about you know when people use the quote, he's knocking on the door to a British title. I think with his punching style, he was knocking on the door to a British title, and that's where the knocking on the door basically ends. My view on Flintoff, in terms of his boxing, I think first of all he has a right to box because he's paid his dues, he's done his training, and he's passed the test from the board, albeit at the second attempt. Now, I think in terms of what happened on Saturday night, was it Friday or Saturday? Friday night, sorry.
Friday night.
Friday night, I think it's probably the first time since Hey Chisora that boxing's been on the back pages.
Fair play.
And I think if he fought 2 or 3 more times on TV, which I think Barry McGuigan's hoping for, then I might have an issue with it. But I think in terms of as a one-off for an exhibition, if that was the only fight shown on Friday night, then true boxing fans would have an issue. But I think a lot of people turned up there. What you've also got to remember, there's quite a few other fighters on that bill who will have sold a lot of tickets for them to what people watch them fight as well. So but there was 5,000, 8,000 that were there at the Manchester Arena. Not all of them were there just to see Freddie Flintoff. So I think if somebody is bringing positive attention to boxing, I think it's a good thing. I think as a one-off fight, I think he's done that and it's been a good thing. You've got non-boxing fans that have been taking an interest because they're interested in the man himself. He's an engaging guy.
Absolutely.
I think he's
like I stated in all my videos, I've said it before and I'll say it again, superstar for cricket, great personality, would be a Hatton-like character if he was a boxer and had a proper boxing career in terms of the way you become an amateur, you become a pro, and he would have been like a Hatton if he'd been taking his boxing career instead of having a cricket career. You could see that because he's got that sort of charisma, he's that sort of a character. Okay, but cricket was his first sport. He's 34 years old, 35 soon. I don't know how much more he can improve.
I see in terms of anybody that's talking about British titles, it's a bit like talking about world titles for Chris Eubank Jr. It's just some people do.
Yeah, but hold on a second. But Chris Eubank Jr. is young, and he's learning his trade. He's had 7 or 8 fights. He's had some sort of
But you can't talk about a world title at this stage.
No, you can't. But but in terms of fundamental skills, Chris Eubank Jr. can throw a left jab, he can throw a left hook, he can throw a right hand, he can throw an uppercut. If you ask Freddie Flintoff, as you saw when he tried to attack Paul Dawson, you see what I mean? It's a bit different.
It's, like I say, it was a sideshow. I think it was fun while it lasted. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely, yes.
I enjoyed watching it. Not again. I'm a purist. I like watching true boxing skills, but because it's one of those things in terms of Freddie's such a personality that he comes across very well. You feel like you know the guy. Where some people, when they're on TV, because they don't come across so naturally, you see them on TV, but you don't know them because he comes across so naturally. You feel like you actually know the guy, and because of that, you have that little bit of nervousness when you watch him fight because you feel you know the guy. It's like when you're actually watching people who you know fight. If they're taking shots compared to somebody who you don't know, you don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But like I say, I think one off. It's not worth discussing too much anyway, but it is worth discussing while it's fresh. And I think it's a one-off. Good. I think he's entitled to fight again, but maybe
of course,
small hall show, not on TV. Maybe show a bit of highlights on it, or again if he's fighting on a bill where there's other big fights, not other big fights. There's big fights on the bill, and he's also on that bill. I've got no problem with that being televised, because I think it's still going to continue to bring people who maybe aren't true boxing fans to watch boxing, and by watching Flintoff they'll see the other fights on there as well. It's bringing more audience numbers to boxing, and I see that as a positive thing. Absolutely,
it's positive. It's great what he's done, but I don't know if he should be getting promoted as top of the bill.
I think it was a one-off because it was they had the whole build-up and things like that. If he fights again, it'll be a matter of, well, earlier on the show we had Freddie Flintoff was fighting his second fight or third fight. Here we go with this, and if they're using that to fill some time, but I would much.
You hope that's going to be the case.
Excuse me. No, if you watch the Box Nation shows, there's sometimes they show 6, 7, 8 fights.
And then they show this is what happened earlier.
And they show quite a lot. And if there's other serious boxers, and I'm not knocking Freddie here because he's obviously taking it serious, but other like true boxers who are just only boxers, they've got some potential of getting somewhere, even area titles or something like that.
Yeah,
I would much rather they were given the opportunity to box on TV. If you're not going to show all of the fights, then that's when I think true boxing fans are going to start having an issue with Flintoff if he's taking other people's airtime. But well done to him. Well done to Vard, taking on the challenge. I thought his punching style was bizarre, but I thought his footwork was good. I thought his right hand, he was keeping his right hand up, watching for the hook.
His legs were quite sprayed apart though, weren't they?
Oh, it was like watching a big Laurel and Hardy sort of boxing match with it dancing in and out. But like I say, give him his credit. I'll always give anybody who's prepared to get in the ring,
absolutely. But like I said, I've drawn a line.
Yeah,
I'm not going to let my love of Freddie as a cricketer distort my thoughts as a boxing fan. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. Not for anybody.
Well, in that case, if you've drawn a line, I'm happy to draw a line as well. We're going to maybe wrap this up here now.
Okay.
We're boxing next weekend. Have we got any decent shows on next weekend? Is it Amir Khan next
Manny Pacquiao.
Oh, is that next weekend?
Juan Marquez.
In that case, let's have a look at the other fights that are on next weekend, and within the next couple of days we'll get a preview show done for next weekend.
The return of Chris Eubank Jr.
Yes, once again, and James DeGale.
Oh, that's going to be an interesting fight. I've done a video about James DeGale, basically saying he needs a trainer to help him technically, quickly, because his last couple of fights have been life and death struggles, and that boxer that was moving around nicely and sweet in the ring, he's now sitting on the ropes and taking too much punches.
Far too many.
De Gale's going to get knocked out sooner rather than later. He is. I'm sorry. He's going to. If he doesn't change, I think he should get a Mayweather. Like, I think he should get Roger Mayweather to help him defensively. Jimmy McDonald can stay as a fitness coach, but in terms of his finesse, I think that he needs help big time.
Well, I'm with you on that. Jim McDonald is a good motivator. I don't see him as a technical boxing coach. So.
No.
Well, let's keep the James De Gale things for the preview show. We'll go into a lot more depth and detail into that.
Okay.
But I think in terms of, I'm also considering the length of the video here. So
okay.
So
great stuff.
If we wrap this one up and then we'll get a.
You can chop it in segments. Actually, chop it up in segments. Chop it in segments. So it's each subject. So it could be De Gale, or I don't know, Flintoff. So in 3 or 4 segments would be fine.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have a look at that. But in the meantime, thank you for watching the Boxing Hangout. I've been Phil Lindsay.
And I'm Ingram Jones.
Bye bye now.